get through this one because Jake, I saw him do this. He is not lying, Dave. I ripped a jig out of that clump. You got to picture this now. Ross Barnett, it's got a bunch of big hay grass, and inside of some of that grass is like a little bit of pondweed or something. You needed a little extra weight to get through it, and that's where the bass were holding. We were there kind of right pre-front, and I was in the top 10. That's why Jake was in the boat. It was an awesome event for me. But I remember pitching into that clump, and when it went through that clump, I could see the clump shake, which immediately triggers Bobby Lane's brain to set the hook, because I mean, I love the flip and I've done so much of it. I knew she grabbed it. Well, the problem was she only grabbed the trailer on the jig, and I got 65 pounds spider wire ultra cast on, and I am amped up. The weather's cooler, so my veins are just boiling. And when I clicked the reel, I swung as hard as I could because I really knew it was the one that's going to win the tournament, right? I'm not going to lose this fish. I mean, I got a big 5/0 gaff hook in this thing. I'm going to drill it. And when it came out of there, it sounded like a missile, and I couldn't get the words out of my mouth fast enough, like look out or heads up. All I heard was, and I'm like, what in the world? And like, I thought it hit a tree, right? I didn't know what it hit. And he is curled up on the back deck going, oh, I just killed him. I killed the guy. Oh, how am I going to explain this when I get in? You know, I mean, there's only 10 of us because it's the top 10, but I've got myself in a jam here. And he's laying back there, and blood is starting to come out of his sweatshirt, exactly like he said. And I'm like, oh, how bad is it? And when he pulled his sweatshirt back and his other shirt, he actually removed the jig from his skin, through the t-shirt, through the sweatshirt. Then he took his clothes off so we could look, and it looked like a bullet had drilled him right there. And I said, dude, are you okay? Of course, he's shaking up. He's bleeding. I'm scared to death. I don't even know if I can fish anymore. And he's like, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. And so when he raised his hand, he said, I swear that happened. And he has a raised scar for the rest of that life. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I hope he lets me sign it. Actually, I think he would, as long as it came back off. But dude, I can remember it like it was yesterday, because you know, it's the fish that could win. And I actually think it was probably a gar or something that swam through and knocked the trailer sideways and hit it so hard, because the fish wasn't there. And definitely he was on the wrong end of this receiving part of it. And it knocked him, you know, I broke a lens on a camera. I stuck a 1 ounce weight down when we had the classic one year in New Orleans, New Orleans, when everybody ran down to Venice. I told the guys, like, Bobby, that weight's so close to me, it's going to hit my lens. And I'm like, dude, I'm not going to quit setting the hook. After the 5th time I set the hook, the weight went right through his camera. He goes, well, there's $5,000 down the drain. I'm like, well, I hate it. I said, if we could catch this fish, the $5,000 becomes a lot easier, because I was in the top 10 on that Bassmaster Classic on the final day. But I do have another one. I got to tell you this. All of those are true. I'm on Lake Fork. Okay. It's in late March, April. The fish are, or early March, late March. Year COVID was here, 2020.
Yep.
In great shape after the first day. It was a Bass Pro Tour event. I'm in great shape. I only need to catch 1 or 2 fish, and I'm going to make the knockout round. The wind's starting to come out of the north. All the sight fish are starting to leave a little bit, but you get the 30-minute ride around, and I cruised past this dock, and I saw like a 5-pounder swim out from this dock, or right on the corner of it. So I'm doing my lap around, blah, blah, blah. He's fixing to say lines in, and I fish a little bit, and I'm like, I'm going to ease over to that dock before the wind gets too bad. Of course, we have our boat official sitting right in the passenger seat. I pull up to the bed, and I power pull down, and I'm looking, and the 5-pounder is sitting really visible on the bed. So simple to see. And I start pitching to it, and out of nowhere, an 8-pounder comes into the bed. I'm like, oh, here we go. I got an 8 and a 5 now that we're fixing to put on the scale. And I pitch over there, and I pitch over there, and I pitch over there, and the 5-pounder finally grabs it. The 8-pounder's kind of being finicky a little bit. And I'm like, well, let me catch this one. I can get on my way. You know, you hate sitting on a sight fish so long, especially in all you can catch, because you're burning time and you find yourself falling down the score tracker. But I said, I need this one and blah, blah, blah. So I pitch in there the 5-pounder. She noses up on it. I was flipping a 5-inch General, Berkeley Maxent General, because the water was cooler in that Maxent. It just fires them up. And she went down and grabbed it, swam off. I set the hook and I missed her. I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. And I get down, I put a new General on, and I stand back up and the 5-pounder's gone. And the 8-pounder is looking at me like, flip to me, flip to me. And I'm like, you got it, right? So I pitch in there, Dave. She grabs my bait the minute it hits the bed. I set the hook, no bait, or she took off a quarter of the bait. So I just re-rigged it. I flip back in there. I set the hook, no bait. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I flip back in there again. She swims over to it. I said, you know what? I got a better idea. I reeled it in and I put it down to about a 3-inch General. I just put I had a 5-aught fusion hook in it just to where the hook can get in the tip of the General. And I flip it back in there. She opens up her gills. Whoosh! I crack it as hard as I can. And it's like air. Like, what happened? I don't have the fish. I don't have my bait. I don't have anything. The line, my braid's kind of blowing in the wind a little bit. And I'm reeling and I don't even know where my hook or my weight is. My official was literally looking this way towards the bed. Okay. I had a 3/8 ounce flat out tungsten weight on. I set the hook so hard, the weight in the hook hitting in the side of the head. I looked for my hook and weight. I couldn't find it. All I could see was about 2 inches of my hook hanging out of his upper temple spot. The weight has disappeared. My braid is hanging out. He's dripping a little bit of blood and the hook is embedded in his face, right? Oh. And the weight is gone. Everything's gone. And I'm like, dude, you're dead. Like, you're going to die. I don't know what to do. You got to go in. He says, Bobby, I've been a sheriff. I'm a retired sheriff. I'm tough. Trust me. And I'm like, dude, you don't understand. I'm not sending you a picture of this because if I do, I'm going to pass out taking it. And he says, I said, what do you want me to do? He goes, can you get it out? I'm like, yeah, but dude, it's going to blow a hole 1 inch wide in your forehead. So I wrap 65-pound spider wire on my hand like you do, you know, where you pop the hook. And I'm like, I got my CUDA. I had a CUDA Band-Aid pack in the boat. I got my CUDA back, my safety, my kit out, right? I know I'm going to need everything I got in this thing once this hook comes flying out. And I got like, put my knee in his chest and I wrapped that 65-pound braid on there. I closed my eyes and I say, I'm going to count to 3. And when I got to 1, I yanked as hard as I could. And I pulled the 3/8 ounce weight, the hook and everything comes shooting out of his head. And of course the blood just comes running down. I immediately take iodine and alcohol, clean it up the best I can. I put a patch over it. And I'm like, all right, I got the hook and weight out. I got to get back and see if this fish is on the bed. And I'm like, dude, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I feel okay. I'm like, I'm trying to figure out a way to get the 8-pounder, but not be rude, right? I can't be rude. And so I look and the blood's just pouring out of his face. I'm like, I can't go up there and look yet. So I get more I get Band-Aid up. I get him all cleaned up. And I said, dude, are you feeling okay? And all I wanted him to say was, yes, I feel okay. And he said, yes, I'm fine, Bobby. I run to the front deck. I grab another General. I rig it on as quick as I could. I drop it in the bed. She eats it immediately. I strip off about 3 yards of line. She starts swimming off. I set the hook. She weighs 8 pounds, 9 ounces. He's still alive. He's doing good. He's enough to weigh the fish. He weighed at 8, 9. We recorded. I move up into like the top 5. So I know I'm locked into going in the knockout round. In all day, I said, okay, now I'm going to take you in and see if we need surgery, stitches, whatnot. He says, if you take me in, I'm going to be pissed because my job is to weigh your fish and be with you during the day. That's how tough this guy is.
Wow.
And lo and behold, I fished all day with him in the boat. When he came in, the medical people looked at him, everything was fine. To this day, I've never, ever seen anything such like that in my life. Now I got a raised scar on a guy. I've sent a weight and a hook through a guy's temple. I broke a camera lens. What's next? I'm hoping nothing, but I can't quit flipping, Dave. I love to flip and you know,